Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright, round your virgin mother and child, holy infant, so tender and mild, sleep in heavenly peace, sleep in heavenly peace.
Stille Nacht, heilige Nacht, alles schläft, einsam wacht, nur das traute hochheilige Paar, holden aber im lockigen Haar. Schlaf im himmlischen, schlaf im himmlischen Stille
Night, heilige Nacht, alles schläft, alles ist bright, nur das traute Mother and child, holding infant so tender and mild, sleep in heavenly peace, sleep in heavenly peace.
That was beautiful! Thank you very much for watching Aldo and I's cover of Silent Night / Stille Nacht. The reason I wanted to do a cover in both languages is because of a story quite close to my heart as a historian, as a military historian, as a German historian, the story of the Christmas Day truce of 1914. Now this truce has become famous and quite mythologised in a way. There's lots of different aspects that aren't true and are true and blah blah blah. So I've done some historical research, you know, £50,000 worth of debt, totally worth it just for this video because I know how to accurately research historical sources. So I thought I'd just quickly discuss why I decided to do the song in both languages. So last year, if you live in Britain, I think it was last year, it might have been the year before, there was an advert by Sainsbury's and they depicted the Christmas Day truce between the English soldiers, British soldiers, and the German forces, and they went over the top and started to play a game of football. This is true. It wasn't everywhere along the Western Front, it wasn't the whole way down the trench system, because that extended hundreds and hundreds of miles from the north coast of France and Belgium all the way down towards Germany. So it wasn't adhered to everywhere, literally only in sporadic little places. But the Christmas truce of 1914, or the German Weihnachtsfrieden, just want to apologise to any Germans watching. I can't speak German. Gave it my best shot. So I just wanted to read a little excerpt of the information I found. This is from the Imperial War Museum in London, so quite a trustworthy source. Late on Christmas Eve 1914, men of the British Expeditionary Force, BEF, heard German troops in the trenches opposite them singing carols and patriotic songs, and saw lanterns and small fir trees along their trenches. Messages began to be shouted between the trenches. The following day, British and German soldiers met in no man's land and exchanged gifts, took photographs and played some impromptu games of football. They also buried casualties and repaired trenches and dugouts. After Boxing Day, meetings in no man's land dwindled out, and both British and German high command, e.g. the officer class and higher, very much disliked this truce because the British and the German soldiers, the lowest form of soldier, the foot soldier, the common soldier, they didn't really know what they were fighting for. The Germans' expansionist aggression came from a high up Kaiser and his various generals, and the British disliked their naval and empirical power, e.g. the British at that time, 1914, were the biggest empire in the world. We were the most powerful empire. We didn't like those Germans coming along being like, you know what, we Germans, we want a little bit of the action, yeah? And the British were like, oh no, none of that, thank you, we are the main powers. So essentially these poor soldiers, they were fighting for the elites on both sides. So a lot of them didn't really understand what they were fighting for. All the propaganda was riled up and you felt patriotic, and that's why you think you're fighting. And okay, a lot of people might have felt like that, but reading a lot of sources, it seems a lot of them didn't really know why they were fighting. So this day obviously came along, Christmas Day, Christmas Eve, they're singing, they're coming over, they're exchanging sweets, they're playing football, and they realised that the Germans weren't this crazy, brutish, over-exaggerated propaganda that they had been seeing back home and in the trenches. They were just normal men. Germans and English alike, French as well, and every other nationality that fought in the war. They were just normal men, and they were forced to fight in this war, regardless of whether they wanted to or not. So the reason Aldo and I sang Stille Nacht, Silent Night, was because, as I mentioned, they began singing first, the Germans began singing first, and to me that is a perfect representation of a fantastic Christmas carol that is so poignant in both German and in English that together I think they sound beautiful. And that beauty Aldo and I wanted to portray. I can't sing, so it's not beautiful, but that was my historical reasoning behind why I wanted to do the two songs together. I hope everybody has an absolutely fantastic Christmas time. Hope it's peaceful, and I hope it's full of love and food and presents. I have a video going up on the 29th. It's probably going to be a 2017 roundup. So check into that if you want to see how my year's gone. Frohlich Weihnachten, is that right? Some card Merry Christmas, Joyeux Noël en français, and Happy Christmas to all.